Supplements have existed for as long as we can remember. The definition of supplements is simply defined as something that completes or enhances something else when added to it. They are also used to supply a deficiency, extend a hole, or reinforce. There is a variety of dietary supplements in today's fitness world, including vitamins and minerals, herbal and botanicals, amino acids, enzymes, and many other products. They come in forms of tablets, capsules, powders, energy drinks, and even herbs. Some supplements used today by young athletes include creatine, caffeine, beta-alanine, and protein powder. They are all used to enhance performance and body image. What is creatine? Well, creatine is an amino acid produced in the body, in the kidney, and in the liver. It is formed by combining the amino acids glycine, arginine, and methionine. It is produced in physiologic amounts by the liver, kidney, and pancreas, but mainly the liver. It can also be found in protein-rich foods such as red meats, fish, and chicken. Creatine was successfully extracted from the red meat in the 1800s by a scientist named Michel Eugene Chevreul. Since then, it's made its entrance for use in the 1990s. By 1996, it was estimated that a large percentage of athletes were using creatine and spending over $14 million a year. Creatine stores in the muscle, particularly in fast-twitch glycolytic fibers. It has been proved that it has neuromuscular performance-enhancing properties on short-duration anaerobic exercises. In short, high-intensity exercises, creatine supplementation has an increase from the baseline which is greater than the placebo group. The anaerobic endurance performance has improved by creatine supplements taken orally or work and power. The effects of taking creatine as a teenager or adult seem to have athletic benefits. They tend to have an increase in strength and some improved endurance performance. A 12-week study was done with creatine intake. The athletes taking creatine showed an increase in fat-free body mass, bench press maximal lift, peak power production in squat jumps, and biopsied muscle fibers. The studies done were short-term, medium-term, and long-term by oral creatine supplements taken. However, there was no adverse effects in the adults. As far as teenagers, adverse effects are rarely known because they have not done enough studies. The only minor side effects that occurred in both teenagers and adults were stomach cramping, bloating, and diarrhea, which could be avoided by drinking plenty of water to keep hydrated. And although teenagers should not be taking creatine, a survey was done and 8 to 15% of teenagers admitted to taking creatine product. Although caffeine is a stimulant, many athletes have started using this as a supplement in forms of powders as a pre-workout or in forms of energy drinks. Caffeine is a crystalline compound found especially in over 60 tea and coffee plants. It is a white bitter powder in its pure form and the most commonly used drug in the world today. Athletes who use caffeine before exercising and competition may be pumping themselves up more than they thought possible. It has the same effects as amphetamine and cocaine have, just in a lesser extent. It crosses the membranes of all the body tissues and central nervous system. Once it enters the body, it is absorbed by the stomach and the intestine. A number of responses in the body happen once the caffeine reaches the bloodstream. Blood pressure, pulse rate, and stomach acid production is increased, fat stores are broken down, and fatty acids are released into the bloodstream. With regular use, these effects can last up to 12 hours. Some adverse effects that caffeine can have on the body is insomnia, poor sleep, anxiety, lack of energy, and fatigue. On the other hand, caffeine is known to enhance performance and endurance in sports because of its ergogenic aid that assists in athletic training and performance. It has been found to increase speed and power as well as increase the length of training in sports such as running, swimming, and even tennis. However, caffeine can have a harmful effect in adolescents when too much is taken. The adverse effects in children, adolescents, and young adults with seizures, diabetics, cardiac abnormalities, or mood and behavioral disorders can happen. Caffeine intake by adolescents averages about 800 milligrams per day. Caffeine can improve attention yet also increase blood pressure and disturb the sleep pattern. So, as caffeine can have positive and negative effects, it is recommended that the intake only be 100 to 200 milligrams per day.
What is beta-alanine? Beta-alanine is a non-essential amino acid that can be synthesized in the liver. Due to the small amounts produced by the body, another dietary source of beta-alanine is believed to be obtained through ingesting dipeptides known as carnosin. These dipeptides are commonly found in protein-rich foods such as chicken, beef, and pork. It can also be found through supplementations, which quickly has become anything but non-essential in the world of the fitness industry. Beta-alanine can be found in pure or mixture form. If you would walk into a supplement store right now, you could find bottles labeled purely beta-alanine. Or you could also find it in something called pre-workout, which normally carries a mixture of beta-alanine and other ingredients. To understand beta-alanine, you must also understand carnosine. As we discussed previously, beta-alanine is an amino acid, and alongside histidine are the two substrates that make up the peptide carnosine. During exercise, carnosine works as a buffer. To function most effectively, our bodies work to keep our pH in balance by using various buffering systems. Buffers largely work by soaking up hydrogen ions to maintain ideal pH balance. Since hydrogen ions are released during physical activity and raises acidity level with your muscle fibers, having high concentrations of carnosine is able to counteract the acid buildup, thus allowing you to increase performance. Unfortunately, carnosine supplementation isn't very good at increasing muscle carnosine levels on its own. This is where beta-alanine comes in to help increase carnosine levels. It was the Russian scientist Gluich was the first to identify carnosine in the 1900s. 11 years later, he would discover and find its components amino acids beta-alanine and histidine. 7 years later, Barger and Teuton and Brünemann established Gluich's findings. But it wasn't until 1938 that the first research on carnosine and its effect on muscle buffering were published. For the most part, short-term effects of beta-alanine seem to be positive. Supplementation used by many athletes suggests it's relatively safe for healthy adults. But when it comes to the pediatric world, pediatricians inform that it's unclear whether supplement intake might harm the growing muscles and the bones of the kids and teens. When it comes to long-term effects, not enough study and research have been done to make a strong conclusion. However, there have been some studies that propose most effect in a pediatric world would be similar as one in an adult athlete. A study done by Smith examined 46 recreationally active young males who participated in an exercise protocol that involved high-intensity interval trainings where the subjects consumed 6 grams of beta-alanine per day for the first 3 weeks, then 3 grams of beta-alanine for the second 3 weeks. The performance results concluded a rise in VO2, peak and the time to reach VO2 peak with consumption of beta-alanine. Also, another result was an increase in lean body mass. We can conclude that supplementation, specifically dietary supplements, are a relatively recent and growing area of research. Although there have been studies shown of a benefit in taking supplementation, the specific mechanism value still remains to be fully unexamined. Current literature shows many variations in the amount and length of supplementation. Therefore, a strategy is still pending. Studies should also examine whether different types of exercise training may influence these types of supplements. Determining the correct combination of training and supplementation dose plays an important role in improving exercise capacity and performance outcomes. After researching different types of supplementation, it is also concluded that not enough studies have been done to determine the long-term effects and safety in the pediatric world. The fact that age and/or gender may influence results is also a factor. Nevertheless, we can conclude that supplementation carries potential in beneficial effects and opens the door to further improvement in exercise training and sports performance in a wide range of individuals.